Hey, Foot Clan. You know what you're about to be? A fantasy champion. You are a fantasy champ. The fantasy championships are coming up soon, so where do you head to get all your gear?
Where?
To call your shots. Well, it's Fantasy Champs,
Of
Mike.
course.
FantasyChamps.com. It's so easy. You want to bling out your ring, get a handful of giant championship rings? Fantasy Champs. You want a trophy? Fantasy Champs. You want a belt? You get the idea.
Fantasy Champs.
Yeah, that's right, Andy. Go to FantasyChamps.com, call your shot, get your gear, go now, and you can save 10% with the code BALLERS.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. All the footballers are still breathing, as far as I know.
Barely.
Jason had a rough afternoon, and
There was an incident.
here's what's so funny about it is we got Brooks, make a note. I want to upgrade our security cameras here at the studio because I went back to the tape of yesterday afternoon, and I'll have to pull it up and clip it out and put it on Twitter. But there was a moment in the game. Now, Jason, I'm going to set the table, and I'll let you have your rant. But there was a point yesterday where Jason's in his dynasty matchup, and he's got Carson Wentz, and his opponent has Drew Brees, and there's a 4th and 7, and Drew Brees and them are already up by like 600 points. And when he threw that 4th and 7 touchdown to Alvin Kamara, I had to crawl on the ground like a man escaping.
You were in the trenches.
I was in the trenches, and Mike and I just covered our faces. We didn't want to see Jason, and he just closed his laptop, got up, and walked out and went home.
Yeah, I took my ball and Wentz home, just like Carson did. Here,
Oh,
I mean,
no.
little did you guys probably did not know this. You can't tell from the camera footage, but when that pass was caught by Kamara, and you could tell what was clearly about to happen, my eyelids slowly came down and were closed for the next 10, 15 seconds.
While I was
before my
crawling
laptop
away from you.
slowly closed, and I said, I take my ball and wins home. It was terrible. It stunk. It was such an important win. It was funny. I don't know, 40 minutes beforehand, the morning games are all over. I say, oh, good, I'm projected to win by 30. That means I'll lose. And Mike gives me grief. He's like, oh, come on. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard you say.
Because you had Wentz and Ertz in the matchup of the week. Well, not the matchup because that's tonight, but the second best matchup of the week.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
On paper.
Well, I'll share some of the Monday Punday Foot Clan one-liners. Go from whence you came. Mm-hmm. Wentz, not good. Carson Wentz the bed?
That's
that's
good.
supposed to be Wet's the bed.
Yeah,
I see.
he certainly
that's
did.
not bad.
Should have Wentz with a different QB. Yeah, anybody would do. Anybody at all. Like father, like son, Carr's son Wentz. What is that, Brooks?
What?
What does that even mean?
Derek Carr, Carr's son, Wentz. I thought it was funny.
I still don't
You
get
thought
it.
that was funny?
Yeah.
Carr's son.
Carson.
Carr's
son.
Oh.
You win some, you lose some.
Wow, that is.
Hey, Brooks.
Well, congrats. You made it on the show. Whoever.
Brooks, knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow.
Moo! Is that hilarious, Brooks?
Wow, Mike is not happy with Brooks.
He's not going to let you.
I said Carson Grinch. I mean, it's a Christmas season, and he destroyed you, left some coal under the tree.
That was rough, man.
He had the worst outing against New Orleans since Mark Sanchez in 2009.
You don't want to be in any sentence with Mark Sanchez.
No, you don't.
Ryan fits nicely on my bench. Yeah, he's back on the bench. Borey Davis. Yeah, that was no good. Why did I bench Hilton? You didn't listen to Mike. That's why.
That's a good question.
I'm looking into your souls, America.
Should not have done that.
You got to believe.
Ricky Tears Jones.
Oh, yeah. As much as I got the Hilton call, right?
Dalvin cooked?
Did you guys see the tweet?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, so
I don't think so.
It's not. It seems impossible.
It seems impossible, but it happened.
Oh, the game that lost.
So we had a Foot Clan member slid in the timeline with a screenshot of his final score, and he said, "I lost." And it was a half of a point.
Yes,
by about 0.5. He went in to Sunday Night Football up by 1 with Dalvin Cook. He was up by 1 with a starting running back, and he lost.
Wait a minute.
He lost because of Dalvin Cook's fumble.
You're telling me that even though I am already down 1.5 points going in against Tyreek Hill, I could win
if
Tyreek
Dalvin
Hill gets a handoff that he fumbles and gets injured on that play. I will win.
And Dalvin had 9 carries.
That's insane.
So you get 9 carries, you fumble, you score negative, and you lose by half a point. That is painful.
Maybe he had negative passing yards as well.
There's not a player
yards
in the entire league that has hurt fantasy owners more than Dalvin Cook. He's been injured, but he's had now 3 games where you've tried to play him, and whoops.
Whoops.
Whoops indeed.
Well, and then the 1 week where we're like, hey, let's let him come back. He busts a 75-yard, 22-mile-an-hour run off. It makes you go, I guess I should play him. But the Bears were great, and last night, wow. All right.
He's wicked.
We'll get into all the studs and duds on the show, the weekly rewind, rising stars on the show today as well. I guess we already got into one of the duds with that pun that Brooks picked out.
Speaking of dud.
Not all the puns were duds.
No.
Question, how much does a Week 11 win weigh?
I don't know.
About an Ingram. Yeah.
Maybe all of them are. Twitter.com/thefantasyfootballers.
That was the one that was going to save us.
It's really the Foot Clan's fault. I mean, we're just reading. They didn't show up like Zach Ertz this week. That's all.
I think that one's good too. I stand by it.
Well, of course you do. You put them all in here,
that
Brooks.
Clever.
You picked your favorite ones out.
I actually did like that one.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, we'll get more people involved in this process. I'm just kidding, Brooks. Did you have a good weekend?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Stay with us. All right, DFSpass.com. Don't forget, check that out. Heading into the weekend, it's discounted.
Dude.
And the DFS Pass picks
out.
were amazing this week.
The DFS Pass, which is still on sale, it's only $29, and the DFS Pod. I mean, those two things this last week, screenshot after screenshot, people killing it in their FanDuel DraftKings lineups. Just ridiculous the calls this last week.
Guess what?
What?
This week, the Megalodon is coming.
Megalodon. Hey, I actually prepped by watching the Meg. I watched it this week.
How was it?
It was unbelievably great. It was
only
pretty
imagine.
much Oscar. I think it'll win the best picture.
Now, that's based on a really long podcast. Is that correct?
That
is
is
what that
100% true. I was really disappointed that Jason Statham did not punch
Does he punch the shark?
He never punched the shark in the face, but he did even better. You'll have to watch.
Okay.
Not a sponsor.
Seriously. All right, let's get into the rewind.
Weekly Rewind.
Alex Smith is done for the season. Fractured fibula, tibia. It was a gruesome injury, and I feel bad for him. Colt McCoy looks like he'll be the quarterback for a very depleted, destroyed division winner now.
For those who didn't follow the story, I mean, the irony of the world is sometimes just unbelievable. This was the anniversary of the Joe Theismann injury. Joe Theismann was at the game, and then Alex Smith goes down with this injury.
I saw.
It wasn't that he was at the game. It's the same day it happened.
That's what I said. It was the anniversary.
And same injury. They had the same injury.
This is impossible.
They had the same final score of both of those games.
No.
And they both happened on the 40-yard line.
No, that part's a joke.
No, I mean, I saw it on Twitter, so...
Oh, it must be real.
Has to be real.
But it's unbelievable. And Andy's right. Alex Smith will be done for the season. So, Colt McCoy.
Yeah, his contract says he will be back.
Yeah.
so-
Oh, he'll be back.
Marcus Mariota was forced from the game with an injury.
Due to horrific play.
Oh, I thought you were going to say horrific mustache play.
Oof. Well, whose mustache do you dislike more, Marcus Mariota or Mitchell Trubisky?
They both suck. Yeah, they're both rough.
Like Trubisky's beard game is good,
Yeah,
but I don't know what he's doing with the stash trim.
Well, he didn't want to go full like Abe Lincoln, so he
Like Andrew
got to
Luck?
do something. No, both of their facial hair game is bad, but Mariota's game on the field was worse. Exited with a elbow injury.
Barely.
Kerryon Johnson's going to have an MRI on his knee today. Unfortunately, sprained knee at minimum.
This is big news in the sense that they're saying they don't believe it's a tear. They think it's just a sprain, which is great. Still could end up missing a week or two. But this was kind of what we heard about Darius Geis. So we really need that MRI result. They thought it's not going to be a tear, and then he was done for the season.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Doug Martin absent from the second half of the game. The Raiders decided to go with a committee of DeAndre Washington and Jalen Richard, or as the announcer would say, Richard.
Richard!
As we were watching the game, there was no news about Doug Martin injuring his ankle, and we were actually hypothesizing, why is Doug Martin on the sideline? We thought it was because he was playing too well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Too well for John Gruden and his master plan, but apparently he had the ankle injury.
Brandon LaFell suffered a ruptured Achilles tendon, or is
my
feared to have
goodness.
suffered one. There are no wide
There's no
receivers
one left
remaining for Derek Carr. Joe Flacco not expected back for Week 12. Lamar Jackson went 13 for 19, 150 passing yards.
27 carries.
Most by a quarterback of all time.
Yes,
And
20.
117 yards rushing.
I believe it was the last record was 22, held by Tim Tebow.
I think
which
so,
is very far away from when you're talking records. 22 is the record, and he's like, "Yeah, watch this."
Well, and the reality is, he finished as the quarterback 10
So far.
sans tonight, so he'll be in the top 12 no matter what. And in my opinion, this was probably worst case scenario for Lamar Jackson in this game.
He had a bad game.
He didn't rush for a touchdown or throw for a touchdown, and ended up at worst a quarterback one.
This is why the Foot Clan, we were telling you a couple weeks ago, or last week, grab Lamar
You
Jackson.
have to.
Because he had 117 rushing yards, which is like 5,000 passing yards.
Exactly.
Correct.
Broken.
So it's going to be smooth sailing for Lamar Jackson pretty much no matter what.
Well, unless
If
Flacco's
he's
back.
starting. Yeah, if he's starting.
And they did win the game.
Yeah, they did. They won the game. And the game plan was, look, I don't understand why you don't. Maybe you think that this is just the best chance to win the game, but if he's supposed to be your future and he's supposed to be your quarterback, I don't know why you don't open the game up a little bit more for him. Maybe you do next week.
Yeah, I thought
if
it
he's
was
starting.
strange.
It doesn't make sense to me, especially with all the, he's a quarterback. Well, he was a running back in this game. But, yeah, Marvin Jones didn't play. A.J. Green, Ronald Jones, Chris Thompson, Jordy Nelson, they all sat out this week. Let's go ahead and get into the studs.
This week's Fantasy Stud Muffins.
Let's start with the dark horse to win the division, Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. Decimated Tennessee, 23 for 29, 297 and 3. He has had at least 3 passing touchdowns in 7 consecutive games, which is the third longest streak of all time. And Andrew Luck has not been sacked, get this, in 5 straight games.
Their offensive line has gone from pretty much worst to first. They look amazing. They're what's the rookie they grabbed? He is. I forget his name, but he has just been unbelievable. Congratulations. This is why the last couple of years when they have not been drafting offensive linemen, we're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And Frank Reich has really
tip of the cap.
has really done a bang up job there.
Quentin Nelson is who you were
yes,
thinking
Quentin
of,
Nelson. Just been unbelievable.
Drew Brees had a pretty good game. 22 for
Yeah.
30, 363 and 4. Plays Atlanta next week, then Dallas, Tampa, Carolina, Pittsburgh,
man.
Carolina.
Oh, man.
And they're fighting for that 1 seed.
Drew Brees is going to make some fantasy points rain. And was Sean Payton apparently going
Angry
full Bill Belichick of just running up the score. We talked about it at the beginning, but we got to repeat it again. It was 4th and 7, and they were up.
They were by like 30.
I think it was 45-7 at that point,
and they
or it was 38-7.
And not only do they go for a first down to milk the clock, Drew Brees takes one read for a deep shot to Alvin Kamara.
He's already dead.
I mean, that was amazing.
I said it the whole time. We're watching this game, and it's like, did Doug Peterson is there a bad history
Crapped in his cereal
with Sean Payton and Doug Peterson, or was there something that happened in the press before the week something?
At that point in the game, when the game is already in hand, and you see the sideline cameras of Sean Payton, he looks angry. He's mad. Like, something is wrong. Why are you coming off the field? Get back out there and score on them.
Perhaps it's just we're playing the Super Bowl champs, and we're going to show the world.
I have always been a proponent in professional level sports, not amateur, but in professional level sports, score 100 on them.
Oh, I'm for it too.
You are paid to do your job. You want them to stop scoring on you? Stop them. That's your job. I've always been a proponent of that. Until last night when I really needed Carson Wentz and I was playing against Drew Brees, I'm like, I'm dead already. Please stop.
When you guys been playing Red Dead Redemption, so I'm bringing it up again. Yes, I am. You ever accidentally trampled a person with your horse because you're riding a little too fast?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go back and loot them?
I think you have to.
Because I think Sean Payton would go back and loot him.
No, Sean Payton would hog tie him, take him along for a ride, loot him, and throw him off a bridge.
Look, that NPC, they don't need that money anymore.
I mean, they're already dead.
They're gone.
Cam Newton, 25 for 37, 357, and 3. He didn't even run the ball.
Yeah.
But he had a great week. Plays Seattle next week.
Showed a little bit of his Superman when he looked like he had a bad ankle injury, was down for a little bit, went out, came back in. He's unbelievable.
He's a tough man.
It's just that's one of those genetics situations where you see the injuries happen over and over again, and he's just always fine.
It's difficult.
Including a car accident.
Right. He had a car accident.
Which was like a rollover, and he was like brushing it off.
It's difficult to break metal. And
is he?
Yes,
is he Bruce Willis from
Unbreakable?
Unbreakable?
No. I don't think so.
He just doesn't realize he's a superhero, but he actually is?
I guess he does do the superhero thing. Maybe that's a little bit of...
He might know.
Running backs that dominated in Week 11. Saquon Barkley, 27 carries, career high, 142 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 2 for 10, and a touchdown.
Thanks, Tampa
on the
Bay.
ground. If you own, we said it last week, you were so happy that the Giants won last week against San Francisco. They won again against Tampa Bay, and Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham Jr. gave you everything you needed and more.
Yep.
And they're going to keep doing it. They play Philadelphia next week in Philadelphia, divisional matchup. The Philadelphia secondary and defense is beat up. You don't know where they're at mentally right now. Oh, by the way, they didn't almost upset the Saints. In case you're curious. Zeke, big game. Aaron Jones, we know about it. How about Phillip Lindsey?
He's great.
11 for 79, 2 touchdowns, caught another 4 passes. And my favorite part of the entire Phillip Lindsey experience this past weekend was that Devontae Booker was on the field for 11 total snaps. He barely got on the field. Lindsey, 57% of snaps. Freeman, 23%. Booker, 20%. What do you do with Royce Freeman? Because he did score a touchdown, but 23% of snaps.
He's a flex at best.
Yeah, he's
he's touchdown dependent. Yeah, and
Derrick Henry or Royce Freeman rest of the season?
Royce Freeman, because I actually believe he's good.
Yeah, I'll go with Freeman as well. Do you think the Denver Broncos are a little upset that they drafted Freeman?
I don't think so.
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean,
it wasn't like he was a first rounder, and
I just say that from the point
guys.
of, like, you found a starting running back for absolutely free. You could have used that pick on somebody else.
In the NFL, though,
you didn't. Of course, they didn't know they were going to.
Well, no, I'm just saying you need 3 or 4. I mean, you need 2 or 3 guys anyway. I mean, Phillip Lindsey's pretty little, and he could go down in a heartbeat. So, Pittsburgh next week for Phillip Lindsey, then Cincinnati, San Francisco. I guess it's playoff matchup. San Francisco, Cleveland, Oakland. Kind of like that for Phillip Lindsey, even if next week might be a little tougher against Pittsburgh, but they are at home. Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara.
Oh, my goodness. Next week on Thanksgiving,
Oh,
Atlanta
this
has
week
just been
on Thanksgiving.
yes,
Yeah.
something to be thankful for.
Atlanta matchup for a very vindictive Sean Payton and the Saints, who are scoring 40 a game. I think they broke the NFL record for most 40-point games at this point in the season.
He's hulking out.
They're playing great. And then Leonard Fournette, 28 carries, 95 yards, a touchdown, and he had 2 catches for 46 yards. Leonard Fournette is great. And you know who else got involved? Carlos Hyde.
He did.
Carlos Hyde got a little bit involved as well. We'll talk about we'll take a trip on the Gus bus in a moment. But before we do that, I want to thank a sponsor of today's show. It's Honey, okay?
So sweet.
It's almost 2019 here, and I want to update you on what Honey is all about because no one wants to feel like they are overpaying when shopping online, especially during the holidays. No matter what you're getting online, which we do all our shopping online. Black Friday is all about online. Honey is a free shopping tool that automatically saves you money by searching the internet for the best promo codes whenever you shop online. That's it. It's easy. You pay the least amount of money. It's already saved 10 million members an average of $28.61. I've used Honey multiple times. No more searching the web on a bunch of different sites to try to find something. It's great. It's awesome. You got to get Honey, and there's no reason not to add it to your browser right now, especially during the holidays when you're probably spending the most money. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/footballers. That's 2 words, joinhoney.com/footballers. Honey, the easiest way to save money while shopping online.
We want to thank Trip Actions for sponsoring today's show. Trip Actions, they're taking the pain out of corporate travel because they are the first travel management platform designed from the ground up with the road warrior in mind. Book your company's business travel from the app or desktop with 24/7 proactive support around the globe and incentives for employees to save on travel expenses. Companies large and small see over 90% adoption and save up to 34% on travel spend. Companies from Lyft to Sara Lee's Frozen Bakery trust Trip Actions with their business travel. Trip Actions rewards travelers for saving their company money, and they'll reward you just for checking them out. Reshape your company's business travel today with Trip Actions. You can go to tripactions.com/footballers, complete a 30-minute demo with a Trip Actions account executive. You'll get a $100 Amazon gift card, but it's this month only. tripactions.com/footballers for a free demo and a $100 Amazon gift card. tripactions.com/footballers.
One of the best running backs on the week, Gus Edwards, currently the number 7 running back on the week, 17 for 115 and 1.
Mispronounced Alex Collins.
No, it's Gus.
Alex Collins did get a touchdown.
Here's the thing. Gus Edwards, running back for the Ravens, plays Oakland next week at home. Edwards had 62% of the snaps. Everything that set itself up for a great Alex Collins game and began with a great Alex Collins touchdown ended with Gus Edwards. And Gus Edwards was great.
He was fantastic. We'll talk about him a little bit more later today, and then I'm sure tomorrow on the waiver show.
Yeah, I mean, John Harbaugh said he took the bull by the horns with the performance. And
a picture?
So you want to talk about him a little bit more later?
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson surprised with 2 touchdowns in this game against Houston, and whether you like it or not, they're going to have to depend on Adrian Peterson for the remainder of the season as they fight for that division. They're with Colt McCoy taking over for Alex Smith.
See, and
it's
for me,
it's interesting.
Colt McCoy is as far as backups in the NFL, I think Colt McCoy is definitely one of the better QBs. I don't think Washington's season is absolutely destroyed. Probably if your hope was Super Bowl or bust, but I don't think that Colt McCoy is a massive downgrade for Adrian Peterson in the offense.
I would agree with that. I think it could be an upgrade just from volume. I mean, Peterson generally looked like a volume type of situation. Sure. David Johnson, 25 for 137, did not score, did not catch a bunch of passes, had 2 near. He had like a 50-yard run that almost was a touchdown.
Yes.
He had a 57-yard touchdown called back on a holding. It was a very good game.
It was
for
a
David
hold,
Johnson.
Jason.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't a hold. I'm just saying if he had let go a second beforehand, it didn't. I don't think that was the reason David Johnson had to play. That's my point. It's not that it shouldn't have been called. It's that DJ looked fresh, and first game over 100 yards rushing since 2016.
Yeah, he looked great and just missed a couple huge plays. At the wide receiver position, T.Y. Hilton, 9 for 155 and 2. Mike brought it up last week. He was ready for T.Y. to pop. I'm not surprised that it happened when Eric Ebron had 0 catches. It was a rotation from passing to 4 different tight ends or 3 different tight ends to now using your best weapon, T.Y. Hilton.
And he gets Miami next week, which is great. The schedule after that gets a little bit tougher for T.Y., but at least you should get one more strong start.
Had 8 catches in the 3 games prior to this one. 9 total in this game with 2 touchdowns. Some fancy footwork on the sideline to get that second one. Mike Evans, 6 for 120 and a touchdown. Jameis Winston took over in this game.
Well,
he did not receive the touchdown.
No, he did.
Oh,
yeah, maybe he had the bomb touchdown. I was just going to throw in. He actually had 2 touchdowns.
Oh, that's right.
He had a fumble recovery touchdown that I think didn't show up on a lot of fantasy platforms this weekend. It might be in there now.
I was saying that's going to get adjusted. It will be there.
Yeah, because he scored a touchdown.
So if you are up by 5 points and you played against Mike Evans.
Yeah, I believe it is in there. I believe it's in there now.
Okay.
At least from what I can see. Tre'Quan Smith, 10 for 157 and a touchdown, 13 targets. And there was a tweet that Tre'Quan put out there, or a comment he made. He said after the play he caught the touchdown on, Drew Brees came up to him and said, why do you think I threw you the ball? I trust you. And he said, as a rookie, it made me so happy inside.
That would feel good, man.
Yeah. So
that would feel real good.
We're going to talk about both Tre'Quan Smith and DJ Moore momentarily. DJ Moore was 7 for 157 and a touchdown. And rest of season, though, I'll ping you right now. Tre'Quan, DJ Moore.
Oh, Baby Josh has chimed in. He says Yahoo still hasn't given Mike Evans the rushing touchdown.
Ooh.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I think ESPN has. Tre'Quan or DJ Moore rest of the season, you have to pick right now.
I would go
DJ Moore. Just because of the schedule.
Well, the schedule is really nice.
Yeah, but you are correct. The schedule for the Saints is very nice, but schedule plus the opportunity of actually becoming the one, the number 1 wide receiver option, not, I guess, being the number 2 option for Drew Brees is probably equal to being number 1 for Cam Newton.
Stefon Diggs, 13 for 1.
Oh, that's stinky garbage drive.
I guess I should probably.
Yes, you should.
The garbage man can.
That goes for
Kirk Cousins.
I mean, they were going
a
2 deep safety defense, prevent basically, protect against the big play, and Stefon Diggs ate them up underneath, 18 targets, 13 catches, 126 and 1. All of it pretty much in the last quarter.
There was a drive as the Vikings were trying to come back, and Stefon Diggs caught 3 or 4 passes in a row. I can't recall. He had to go off the field and get a breather because he was catching so many passes in a row.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
My favorite part of his touchdown was when he pointed. Did you see this? When he did the in route, you go back and watch the video. He pointed down into the left to ask for the ball in a specific location before the throw.
Ooh, I did not see that.
You know, you see the Randy Moss old clips of him throwing the hand up or somebody putting the hand up. He literally just pointed like down to the left. He's like, I want it right here. And then he got it right there.
Nice.
It's like what I do in the post.
What, like
basketball reference.
Post office? What do
No,
we
like in basketball, I'll be like, point down. I want a bounce pass. Give me an entry.
No round ball sports allowed, Jason.
All right, fine. Football only.
Devontae Adams, Kenny G, Julio Touchdown Jones, Antonio Brown, Keenan Allen.
Did Kyle put that in there?
That's his new nickname.
I love it.
Yeah, Touchdown Jones. Three straight.
It's
3
great.
weeks in a row.
It's
Law
great.
of averages, man. He's too good.
Yeah.
But Kenny Golladay with the 14 targets
Kenny
without.
G.
If Marvin Jones is out for an extended period of time, which could happen, he was getting a second opinion on his knee. We don't know. He obviously missed this week. But Kenny G.
Yeah.
He's too big. He kind of reminds me of he reminds me of a lot of different players, but Brandon Marshall. When he was at his peak, he was too big to stop the targets from coming. And that's what Kenny Golladay is like. He's too big. Like, if you have a small guy, like I'll give the example of like Brandon Cooks when he was in New Orleans, and you had injuries on the other side of the field, and you look at Brandon Cooks, you're like, man, he's going to soak up targets. If you pressed Brandon Cooks or you rotated coverage, he wasn't too big. He wasn't very big.
Right.
Kenny Golladay had 14 targets, made play after play.
You look at the touchdown he grabbed. There's no defense that can stop that. You throw the ball 12 feet in the air, and he goes up and grabs it, and it's just you can't do anything.
Yeah, it's great. Brooks did request that we honor him.
Because Kenny G, so
smooth.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Hey,
He only
start
caught
of the
2
week.
passes, Jason.
That's right, but they were both in the paint. He had a great.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Dropping another.
Is that another basketball reference?
Yeah, man. What's going on?
You can call. You could.
Nobody-
No one
nobody
calls
calls
the end
the-
zone the paint.
Nobody.
Yes.
No. The paint
That-
is
no, I
inside the
do.
key.
I do.
That sounds like something that they would say on the Monday Night Football crew.
Yeah.
Oh, don't you put that evil on me.
Hey, Booger. Hey,
Come on,
Booger.
come
Is that
on.
Jason Witten? Great analysis.
Jason Booger Moore.
Jason Blade Hands Witten.
Wait, is that what he does?
Oh, every
not
single
noticed?
time
No.
the camera goes to Jason Witten.
He is full on Talladega Nights. I don't know what to do with my hands.
So he puts them out
But they're
straight?
always blades. Always
He's
blade hands.
doing the robot.
He is the Terminator T-1000.
Wait, who do you want to be, Booger or Jason Blade Hands Witten?
I would still rather
I'd
be
be-
Jason.
I'd rather be Booger. I want to ride, man.
Oh, I'm not getting on that thing annoying
I am.
everybody.
Don't you love it when Showtime Mahomes throws it in the paint?
Showtime.
Dude, I want the Booger Mobile.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald, 2 touchdowns. Had a great week if you started him.
Here, let's talk about tight ends for 30 seconds. This is the worst tight end scoring week of the year. 3 of the top 7 tight ends in week 11 were not started in over 99% of leagues. That would be Antonio Gates, Robert Tonyan Harding, and Ed Dixon.
Oh, Red Dead.
This was atrocious. If you didn't, and who's starting Jordan Reed anyway?
Well,
Jordan
that's the
Reed
funny
was 7
thing.
for 71 and a touchdown on 11 targets. He also caused a brutal interception.
So, my start of the week was Jack Doyle. Got off to a strong start, 4 for 43 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Finished with 4 for 43. Terrible game. Except he was pretty much one of your top 10 startable options at tight end.
he ended up at 13.
13 with several
You wanna
players
know
ahead
why?
of him that you've never heard of.
Oh, you mean Ferkster?
Oh, I know you've heard of Ferkster.
Ferkster, and then there was Langle.
Oh, Lingle's so good.
Tanyan, Langle, Dixon,
Ferkster.
Olsen.
I hate when I langle my Ferkster.
You do not want to Langle your
No,
Ferkster.
you do not.
But apparently you want it. Antonio Gates is the number 1 tight end.
That should tell you and it's 2018.
Yeah, and he's 2,018 pounds right now. 5.
Oh, boo.
That was too much.
I know, it was too much, but
You owe
it's-
that man an apology.
I'm sorry,
You
Antonio.
realize he went 5 for 80 in a score.
I do.
He's
I do
doing work.
I do realize that. He's doing work.
O.J. Howard had a great game, but if you are not aware, at the end of the
I'm sorry,
game,
Antonio.
At the end of the game, he came down with what looked like it could have been, an Alex Smith type injury. He got away with an ankle sprain. Pro Football Doc expects it to be a high ankle sprain, which means O.J. Howard might be missing time.
Oh, that's a problem.
Be aware of that.
Does that mean it's Jameis
Cameron-
Winston, Cameron Brate time?
Oh, it could be. Cameron Brate would be a great pickup if O.J. Howard is gone.
Do you think Gates is pushing 300?
Why are we still doing this?
I think he's close, yes.
I'm just curious if that's about where he's at.
I
That's
think
fine. We can tie this into basketball.
he's running like a
He's the Shaquille O'Neal of the tight end position.
Hey,
Fine.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Nothing wrong with that.
fine.
He's a basketball player.
I have
Just
always
keep him-
said, and I will continue to say forever, at tight end, I want the Yao Ming. I want the 7-footer that just walks out 5 yards, you throw him the tall ball, and he falls over.
I still think that could work.
Infinite points. You can't stop it.
Well, you're better off lining that guy up outside because then you get the DB. There's like a 2-foot difference.
Yeah, that's true.
Legitimately. This is why we should be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. We can do it as a 3-pack.
If Condoleezza can do it.
Hey, look, I actually saw, and I know that was some fire news from Adam Schefter's timeline on Sunday morning, but I did see some verified sources of actual reporters speaking of how much she knows about football, I mean, it can't just have come out of nowhere,
Right.
For Adam Schefter to talk about.
She'd probably bring in Rumsfeld for offensive coordinator.
I believe
the
she
whole-
was. No,
the
that
whole
would be
team?
defensive coordinator for sure.
Yeah, that's wow.
Boo! Come on.
It was
failed
right
to-
there, Andy.
I know.
Yeah. No,
She was
does.
offensive, though,
I did
right?
like.
No.
I did like her comment though that said she would never call a prevent defense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good for you.
Darn right. She'd pair up with Sean Payton.
Let's get into the rising stars.
Rising Stars of the Week.
All right. I'm getting it. If two players have the exact same stat line, you're allowed to double up. That's the rule. And
Sir Mix-a-Lot rule.
Only if they're in the same year of their NFL career.
I can say they're both rookies, and they both had 157 yards receiving, and they both had one touchdown. And their names are DJ Moore and Tre'Quan Smith. Yeah, both my rising stars this week. This is what you see, too, from rookies. They earn trust. And you brought that, that comment up from Drew Brees. Tre'Quan's getting the trust. And when you have that many targets, my goodness, there's a trust level growing between Tre'Quan. He made some big-time catches. The red zone touchdown. DJ Moore made a big-time catch, becoming the favorite target of Cam Newton. And, if you look at Pro Football Focus talks about this, they've done the metrics. Rookie wide receivers, they tend to be about 20% more productive in the second half of a season. Both of these guys are supremely talented. Both of these guys play on offenses that are capable. This is a great time. And I brought it up last week. I was like, man, if you could steal DJ Moore in a dynasty league, last week was the time to do it. Same with Tre'Quan.
Yeah, when Christian Kirk had a monster game
so
as
Anthony
well.
Miller scored too.
Yeah,
I mean, the rookies are coming out.
This is something for you to write down in your little notebook and just remind yourself. You don't need to draft these rookie wide receivers. Not everyone. It's very, very rare you get an Odell Beckham who comes in day one and is an absolute beast.
Ironically, he didn't. He started his career injured, and you got him off of waivers week 4. But yes, I know what you're saying.
His first game, man, it was like, holy crap, Beckham. But just remember that. Don't waste your draft picks on the rookie wide receivers. Wait.
It's super tempting, and I saw it in every draft. Tre'Quan Smith.
Oh, we all get the rookie
DJ
fever.
Moore.
I'm guilty.
They're all like the last pick of the draft because you're like, oh, man, this is a great stash. But the second week one ends, you're dropping them because they don't do anything, and you can't afford to wait. What is it, week 11? You can't wait 11 weeks for DJ Moore. You got to pick him up like 2 weeks ago.
But now's the time. I mean, this is the time where waiver wire add guys like these two wide receivers and my start of the week are going to help you win championships. My rising star of the week. My rising star is the aforementioned Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards took my Alex Collins. It's like, oh, this is a great matchup. You're at home. If Lamar Jackson's playing, they're going to run the ball a lot. All of that was true, except it was all Gus Edwards. If you look and you go, who? Who's Gus Edwards? Gus Edwards is a player who was not with this team in the beginning. He didn't get his first action until week 6. And this last week, 17 carries for 115 yards and a touchdown plus a 2-point conversion. This happened to coincide with, his breakout happened to coincide with Lamar Jackson being on the field. I don't think that is a coincidence. And if you listen to what John Harbaugh was saying about how his skill pairs perfect with Lamar Jackson, he says Gus was a north and south. He's a physical guy. He's been practicing really well. When those young guys start practicing well for weeks after weeks, we want to get them out there. He did great on special teams.
There's 630,000 reasons why this was coming. We talked about it in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much money that Alex Collins is making this season. The loyalty built into his contract meant that he could be supplanted at any time for any reason whatsoever. And I'm not saying he's irrelevant, but this is why you couldn't trust a season of guaranteed volume from Alex Collins is because this team is more loyal to production than the money invested in the position.
Yeah, I mean, this was what Alex Collins did last year when he broke out late then got the work, and this is what Harbaugh finished. He said, to give us that type of back is very important. He gives us that back we probably didn't have earlier in the year.
What?
But here's the problem.
Get bodied, Collins.
And I don't mind you making him a rising star because he deserves it. He'll be on the waiver show tomorrow. But this is still going to be a RBBC situation. He also said in the same quote that there's 4 backs that give them different skills. Ty Montgomery had no touches.
We've got 4 different guys who have different styles. I think that's a plus for us.
Yeah, the number 4 is not a plus for us, the fantasy owners. It's not a plus for Gus either. So does he do it again? Maybe. But if Joe Flacco comes back next week,
I will say
do you pause?
Yes, I would pause. I'm not starting Gus Edwards
Could
next
he be
week.
your pump the brakes during the same week he's your rising star?
He could be if Joe Flacco's back. Joe Flacco's not going to be back. Lamar Jackson will be out there, and I think Gus Edwards will be an okay play. He's a 78th percentile athlete in the weight-adjusted speed, which for running backs is one of the things I look at the most.
He got in the
looked
paint.
good on the field, and he got in the paint.
As they say, as Jason says. Mike, you're going a different direction here.
Yeah, I'm going. My rising star is actually didn't have a ton of production, but it's Josh Adams, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's why he is my rising star. Corey Clement played on 27.5% of the snaps. Wendell Smallwood, the perceived pass-catching running back for the Eagles, played on 7.8% of the snaps. If I need to remind you, the game script was very in favor of a pass-catching running back, and it seems like, okay, well, Josh Adams will be scripted out, except he played on 55% of the snaps. 55! Oh, that's nice. Like, the game script was out of control, but Josh Adams was still the primary running back. He only had 7 carries because of course, the game script, but a reminder, the past 4 weeks, he's running at a clip of 6.6 yards per carry. He's their best running back. He got 6 targets yesterday.
Yeah.
That's why this is, okay, Josh Adams was moving from interesting rookie, undrafted guy, climbing up the depth chart, getting some time. He looks like the best guy in the field, to he was the man in a really terrible game script for him. And I think that Josh Adams can be flexed with confidence now.
Doug Peterson has eyeballs. It's one of his greatest features.
Yeah,
he's got eyeballs. He's not an idiot.
Beautiful.
All you had to do is watch
He's got
football
Betty Davis eyes.
over the last 3 or 4 weeks. This is a Kerryon Johnson circumstance, exactly the same thing, where you watch a player, he offers you more. He's more powerful. He's faster. He hits the hole harder. Wendell Smallwood is Demaryius Allen.
Right.
I feel like that's already
Josh
good comp.
Adams is bigger, faster, stronger, better, and inevitably was going to break a long play, and then they wanted to have that potential on the field.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that potential on the field with the other guys.
I feel like you just said Adam Gase does not have eyeballs, which is not true.
that is
Because he's got one.
That's what it is, one's glass?
No.
Oh, come on, Mike. Oh.
Yes. Oh, that's such a deep
is
joke.
Brooks tracking.
That's a deep
You
cut.
tracking along, Brooks?
That's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Why is it so funny, Brooks?
Oh, man. All right, moving along.
I mean, that's no Carr's son wins joke, but that was pretty good.
Some people out there have no
I'm
idea.
not explaining
I
it.
really hope you don't understand that.
If you don't know, you talk to your fellow Foot Clan members somewhere else.
Josh Adams' upcoming schedule.
He's got one.
Look, it's Brown.
Okay, all right.
For Josh Adams, gets the Giants, Washington, then Dallas. The Giants just got absolutely destroyed by Peyton Barber.
Yeah.
So, look, I'm excited for Josh Adams. And like I said, I'm not going out of control, but this is – you can start him in your flex with actual confidence now.
What's unfortunate is due to all the bye week scenarios, I've had Josh Adams and Lamar Jackson on my roster over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but had no choice but to put them back on waivers. I had them
right. You were
for multiple
stashing 'em.
weekends, but then you got the bye, 6 more teams on bye. You got kind of in a stuck – so they're probably out there. We'll talk about it on the waiver show. By the way, the Rising Star is brought to you by Fantasy Champs. We talked about it in the beginning. You need a trophy now or later. FantasyChamps.com. Use the code BALLERS. Speaking of Brown.
Pooped in his big boy pants.
I would have been mad if you didn't make that segue.
Thank you.
That's very professional.
I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing over here. I know. I'm a regular Doug Peterson.
Oh,
Got eyeballs. Look, the duds. This is where you get your tilt out. Carson Wentz had one of the worst games for a fantasy quarterback in history. I left the studio yesterday, and there's Mike and I left, and there was 5 minutes left in the Eagles game. That was the only game left. Jason had already slithered out, and I don't know why you slithered out, but
it's accurate.
I'm watching, for better or worse. I'm driving. I've got the game up on the phone, and it wasn't on the radio. I just had it on the phone, and I see Carson Wentz is driving down the field, and I'm like, and I know Jason, one touchdown.
This sounds very unsafe. You driving with your
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yes.
Don't drive and text. Don't drive and watch NFL
I glanced
games.
down at red lights, gentlemen.
Okay.
And
thank you for qualifying.
Also green lights. And so I'm looking and I'm seeing him drive down the field on this final drive. I'm like, maybe I can hit this garbage, the garbage time button for Jason. One touchdown would mean Jason essentially
Has a chance
because he's going up against Tyreek Hill. Jason basically ended up tied. One touchdown, maybe Tyreek doesn't score 10. And then I see end zone interception to end the game, and he's actually less points than when the drive began. And this is 19 for 33, 156, no touchdowns.
6 rushing
yards. 3
yards.
interceptions, 6 rushing yards. And this translated to everybody, obviously. I mean,
it was a beatdown.
Alshon Jeffery was terrible. I mean, this was a beatdown. I heard it described as, they got punched in the face till you could see the white meat or something like that. I mean, it just was not a nice metaphor. Fitzmagic, you're done again. Hit the bench.
Now, are we assuming that Jameis is going to start?
I think you have to.
You have to.
Will this be the most back and forth quarterback starts of all time?
The only thing that would mean Jameis doesn't start is they lost again. And if Jameis gets hurt, his contract's guaranteed next year. That would be the only sideways move where you if let's put it this way. If Fitzmagic starts, that's why. That's why. Otherwise, you want to see what you got.
Jameis, similar to what Ryan Fitzpatrick did when he would come off the bench, Jameis almost brought the Buccaneers back in this game.
We've said you'd need to bring your quarterback in for one series and switch it in Tampa.
Yep, then you'd win every game.
You remember when the Arizona Cardinals played half Matt Leinart and half Kurt Warner?
Yeah.
And Warner had all the 2-minute drills and quick drives. Maybe an idea there,
Maybe.
Mr. Dirk, soon-to-be-fired Cutter. Deshaun Watson, despite the win, 16 for 24, 208, and 1. And, I don't know if this is a product of the Houston defense being stout and ultimately getting that pick 6 that, took away a possession. Or, how do you feel as a Deshaun Watson owner in fantasy? Let me ask you that.
I think you're going to take your lumps and you're going to keep playing him. His upside is so tremendous that, I realize you can have games like this. They're not – I don't think this is going to be the last terrible game Deshaun Watson has. But with his rushing touchdown capabilities, his passing, I'm still 100% fine with Deshaun Watson.
I had voiced my concern for the absence of Will Fuller on the fantasy value of Deshaun Watson. He has had 2 games since that Miami outing, and both of those games are just over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown this past week. Will Fuller out of that offense is a massive, massive hit for Deshaun Watson. I don't think you have to move away from him, but you should not be regularly expecting top 3 performances from him.
Right, but you just brought it up 2 weeks ago, over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, plus almost 40 yards rushing, which is another 100 yards passing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to move away from him, but you should not – don't think you had 5 touchdown Watson.
Sure.
I posted a tweet this morning. It said, "Open your eyes, people. Tanyan is greater than Ertz."
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
But unfortunately –
What, are you trying to tell jokes on the internet?
I was trying to tell jokes on the internet.
Those always go well.
And there's a lot of very concerned people out there. If somebody that drops Ertz and picks up Tanyan this week on waiver wire, I want to see the picture.
Don't do that.
And then I want you to call your local authorities. Dalvin Cook, Latavius Murray, unbelievably bad games. Chicago dominated the ball game last night. It's very similar. I mean, James Conner faced Jacksonville this week, was shut down. Dalvin Cook, Latavius Murray faced Chicago this week, shut down. Do you have concerns for either side, or do you expect both to bounce back? Green Bay for the Minnesota at home next week, and then James Conner gets Denver.
I am still fine with both, actually. I'm 100%. James Conner, great. He's going to be fantastic. I'm not worried at all. Dalvin Cook, I do worry a little bit just because the offensive line, when it comes to run blocking, has not been very good. But next week at Green Bay, or at home against Green Bay, I think is going to be fine.
Yeah, fine. I'll go with fine.
Tariq Cohen, 7 for 27, 3 for 23, 4 targets, and then Jordan Howard had 18 carries.
When you poop your pants and have 18 carries,
that's
it's
pretty
impressive.
amazing. Yeah, well done.
That's carrying the load.
Oh, yes!
Well done. That's your best joke of all time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's also my most recent joke. Deion Lewis, Derrick Henry. It was bad. Deion Lewis, Derrick Henry, Corey Davis, Marcus Mariota. If you're not Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, I mean, Blaine Gabbert came in pretty early in that game. So whenever Blaine Gabbert is your quarterback, buyer beware.
Are we done with Ito Smith? 6 for 10, 2 for 12. Not really been somebody you've been happy starting.
Yeah, he's just a handcuff.
Yeah, he's just not good.
Doug Martin, 10 for 52.
This is a little unfair.
Yeah, he ran 5.2 yards a carry and then got hurt.
If he had played in the second half, he would have had a great day.
At Baltimore. Yeah, but if
thank you.
If there were candy and nuts, Mike, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
That's very true.
Doug Martin is Brooks laughing over there? Doug Martin at Baltimore next week, though.
No,
thank you. You can't trust him, right? Corey Davis, Alshon Jeffrey. Big old poopers. Corey Davis,
you have to be always concerned about.
Yeah, I was not chasing those points last week.
And it sucked. And Marcus Mariota was awful. But before getting knocked out at right around halftime, he was playing awful.
John Brown, 1 catch.
He
is irrelevant.
All pass catchers, wide receivers, especially on Baltimore, you got to abandon,
including Willie Snead. Willie Snead, you might be tempted. I think you go, oh, look, he was the clear-cut number 1, but the targets are the less valuable type of targets that I don't really care about. I agree.
I'd rather go for some upside than Willie Snead.
Yeah, I would just abandon all Baltimore wide receivers.
You worried about Amari Cooper? Just 3 catches.
No.
Devin Funchess, 2 catches. He doesn't seem like the one anymore.
Well, he also was taking a ride on the Darius sleigh for the holiday season.
All right. Yeah, I'm tracking.
Right.
He did. Doesn't matter, though. He's been single digits 5 straight weeks.
Fair enough.
Jettison from your roster. Allen Robinson, 3 for 39. Disappointing. It was Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Demaryius Thomas had a sweet stat line. It was 0-0-0.
He had a target.
That would be a full-on. Do we still have it?
Yeah, that's a goose.
There was a lot of people who liked the idea of playing Demaryius Thomas.
Meanwhile, Kiki had himself a fine game.
Yeah. So Kiki over DT?
I believe so. I try not to overreact to one game, but I'm gonna.
Let's get back into the tight ends. Zach Ertz, 2 for 15.
Unbelievable.
Eric Ebron.
Ebron is.
Mike had to have been bathing in the 0 of Eric Ebron.
Look, I don't
because the numbers just didn't make him he just needed it. You needed a goose.
I really, really did. It felt like
he tried to throw a touchdown.
Yeah, he was a foot away from a touchdown pass.
I'm trying not to revel in the misery, but the combination of Eric Ebron and Trey Burton, both who were having success when they just mathematically should not be, it brought a little joy to me. It shouldn't, but it did.
I feel like what happened this week, and stay with me, is that George Kittle is clearly a motivational talent.
Yes.
And with his bye week, nobody else – I mean, Trey Burton's like, I don't need to show up either. It's a bye for you. I'm sitting home. Zach Ertz, how do you go from one of the greatest games at tight end to 2 for 15, obviously with like 4 guys defending you? Because that's what they did. They said, Carson beat us elsewhere.
The Zach Ertz poopy pants cannot be understated. I mean, the guy how many receptions a game was he averaging? I'm looking it up.
it's
He was
gotta be
averaging 8 receptions a game coming into this contest. That was an incredible performance by the Saints defense.
Yeah, it really was. You also had on the other side of the ball on that same game when they put up, 50 points, Ben Watson, not a single target. Just unnecessary.
Yeah. Still, when you score 45 points,
yeah, you'd hope.
you kind of hope you're necessary.
Yeah.
You'd hope you're involved.
Well, and that's the funny thing, right? Like, Watson had 1 catch for 1 yard last week, 0 this week. Tre'Quan was goose last week, 13 targets this week.
It's the name of the game.
Hooper. Hooper
was 4 for 27. That's a great game this week.
In this landscape, I would have taken it.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Again.
Like CJ Uzomah, 3 for 41. That's
It's better to tell you who didn't poop than it is to tell you who did with the tight end position. So I'm going to read you names of players you might have actually started that were good at tight end, so you can feel better.
All right.
Jordan Reed, you could have started him.
Could have.
13 points in a standard league. Jared Cook, you could have started him. 9 points. The number 2 tight end. Vance McDonald, 8 points.
Oh, you had to do the Vance dance.
O.J. Howard, 7 points.
Yeah, that's
Greg
great.
Olsen, 6 points.
Wait, he had 6 points?
Yes,
oh,
He had a touchdown.
that's correct. He had
Was he really 1 for
2 for 9 with a touchdown. Evan Ingram
Okay.
had 2 for 66.
I'm glad
he
you
got 32% of the
Yes.
snaps. Red Ellison had the rest.
I'm glad you brought him up because this is
concerning.
It worked out this week, and maybe it works out Eric Ebron style, but this is red alert for Evan Ingram.
Oh, is that Ret Alert?
Oh, what is happening?
Yeah, buddy.
Andy's on fire.
You are.
That's the Ret
That's
Alert.
the red alert.
Yeah.
You don't buy into Ingram's production, unfortunately. I don't know why the team is doing this. I think Ingram is a mismatch, but they're not playing him and they're not using him.
They're using him enough where he's, it hasn't come the way we want. We want him to be on the field more. We want him to be targeted more. He's been okay because he's a great talent. But this is not the GM that drafted him. This is not the head coach that used him last year. And Evan Ingram, we've known this since when we were scouting him as a rookie last year, one of the worst blockers of all. You get him off the field if you're trying to run the ball and block.
Well, he watched a lot of Jimmy Graham
Yeah.
growing up. He's like, man, I want to be that guy.
That's the issue here is this is a team that wants to
wanna be
run
in
the
the
ball
paint.
with Saquon, Barkley, and when you're doing that, it's not about that Evan Ingram life, and so it's concerning.
All right, that is it for today's episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Please subscribe over on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. It always helps. And we appreciate each and every one of you supporting the show in spite of all the puns.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much. We'll be back waivers tomorrow. Enjoy the Monday Night Football extravaganza.
Yes, prepare.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.